Well, hello and welcome to the Movie Paradise Show. I'm your host, Nathanael Molnár, and this is the weekly show we do here every single, usually Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. However, this week I was unable to do on Saturday, but I didn't want to go a week without doing the Movie Paradise Show, so we're doing a special Friday episode. And it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Before we get into the news, and we have a whole bunch of things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Home Alone, the Disney Plus reboot. It's got some casting. We've got the SAG Award nominations for the Screen Actors Guild. Warner Brothers has put out some new release dates. And we'll talk about the trailers for Wonder Woman 1984 and Ghostbusters, and then we'll talk about our movie award shows actually shutting out diverse nominees, because that's a conversation we seem to have every single year. So we're going to get into all that, but first, a few things off the top to talk about, to get out of the way initially. I have a short film that I made a little bit ago, that it's not the same short film I talked about before on this channel, a short film that I was doing over the summer, called Sleep No More. That is still in post-production. That's not going to be ready for a while. But there's another short film that I made called It Had to Be Today, and it is making its premiere at Fitchburg State University, where I'm currently attending for not much longer, though. It will be making its premiere on Tuesday, and then it will be going up online. So once that film is online, it'll be on Vimeo and probably YouTube. I'll share the link on the Movie Paradise account so that you guys can check it out if you're interested. And the other piece of news to talk about real quick before we get into our main stuff is that if you guys remember Movie Night Tonight, it was a movie discussion podcast that we did a few seasons of. I loved doing it. It was a great way. We just took, each month had a new theme, and each week was a new movie. We'd watch the movie, and then we'd just spend about an hour going in all full spoiler details, just talking about the movies and talking about how each movie fit into that theme every month. It was a great show. We took a bit of a hiatus, but Movie Night Tonight, starting in January, will be coming back, and at least we'll be getting another 5 months of it. It might continue after May, but we'll have to see. There's some things personally in my life that are up in the air once May hits. So we'll at least get another 5 months of Movie Night Tonight. And those will be dropping on Wednesday, so you want to keep your eyes open for that. Alright, without further ado, let's get right into it. And we're talking about Home Alone. So Disney announced that on Disney Plus they would be doing a reboot of the Home Alone films. Now, I really enjoy that first Home Alone. And speaking of Movie Night Tonight, we actually did a Movie Night Tonight episode on Home Alone, which if you still go to our Spotify or to our iTunes or any of that, or on YouTube where we have Movie Night Tonight, you can find that episode of the original Home Alone when we did our month of holiday movies. But Home Alone's a really great movie, and it's a classic film at this point. It had a bunch of sequels, and they didn't really live up to the first one in the same way that a lot of people were hoping it would. But now Disney has announced that they're going to be doing a reboot. And when I first heard that, I'm not someone who's necessarily inherently against reboots. I mean, I kind of have the philosophy that if a reboot comes out, cool, let's see it. You know, it's not going to detract from the first one. It's not going to take away from the original. If it sucks, it sucks. If it's great, it's great. It's just a new movie. There's nothing inherently wrong with doing a reboot or a remake of a film. Because Point Break, they made the remake of that. Everybody hated it. Nobody remembers it. It doesn't take anything away from the first Point Break. People just don't remember it. And then we have remakes like the Al Pacino Scarface, which I'm sure when they announced that they were doing a remake of the 1930s Scarface, people are like, why are you remaking that? That one's so great. It's a classic, blah, blah, blah. Now, who remembers the original 1930s one? Now, people hear, oh, they're remaking Scarface? You can't replace the Al Pacino one. And we have to remind people, Al Pacino one is a remake. So that's all just to say that there's nothing inherently wrong or inherently right about remakes. It's just another movie. So if you were to ask me, hey, Nathaniel, should they right now on Disney Plus do a Home Alone reboot right now? Are you interested? I'd be like, nah, not really. I've got the original Home Alone. If I want more Home Alone, there's 3 more out there. So, I don't need it. But if they're doing one, I don't care about it. Well, rather, I don't care that they're doing it. Go ahead, make whatever movie you want. But they recently announced the cast for this Home Alone film. And they don't have yet who is going to be playing the Wet Bandits, which I think is the most important casting, and the one I'm certainly most interested in. But they have announced who it's going to be. The main kid, as pictured right over there, is Archie Yates, who is one of the kid actors in Jojo Rabbit. And he is so good in Jojo Rabbit. I love his character in Jojo Rabbit. He's funny, he's smart, he's got that comedic talent, timing, he's cute, he's funny, he's got everything that you're gonna want. And they've said that it's not the Kevin McAllister character, but a different character. But from that kind of character, and that kind of character that exists in the Home Alone movies as we know it, this kid is exactly the kind of kid you want in that role. I think he's going to do a great job with it, and I'm excited. And they also announced who's going to play his parents. It's going to be Ellie Kemper, who played Erin on The Office and is also in the Unsinkable Kimmy Schmidt? The Unsomething Kimmy Schmidt. That show. She's great. I love her. I think she's great in The Office. She's a character, so I'm a huge fan of The Office. Erin is a character who I didn't really like in the beginning, but the more times I've seen the show, the more I've really come to really like her character. And I think Ellie Kemper is a great actor, so I think she'll be great for this role. And John Delaney is going to be playing the husband, and I think Rob Delaney is going to play the husband, and I think he's a great actor. I think he's so funny. And so I think the two of them as the parents, with Archie Yates as the kid, I think that's going to be really cool. The biggest news of casting that we're still waiting for is who's going to play the Wet Bandits, because that's going to be key. Who do you get as the people squaring off against Archie Yates, against the kid? That's going to be the key. I'm very interested to see who they get for that. Part of me, I kind of want Key and Peele. Is that wrong to want? I don't know. I think Key and Peele would be awesome for that. Can you imagine Key and Peele as the Wet Bandits that would be awesome. I don't know. There's any number. It doesn't have to be a set duo, because I was also thinking, what about The Rock and Kevin Hart? It doesn't have to be a set duo in Hollywood. You could get any two actors who are going to be fun, who are going to play the roles right, and it would be great. I'm just excited to see who they're going to get for that. But for this cast, Archie Yates, Ellie Kemper, Rob Delaney, I think those are great picks for this. And it takes my interest level in this project from being, I don't care at all, whatever, make the movie, but I don't really care, to, yeah, I kind of want to see it now. I'll have to get Disney Plus first, but yeah, I kind of want to see it now. Question is, what do you guys think? Is the casting of Archie Yates, of Ellie Kemper, of Rob Delaney, does that actually get you more interested in this Home Alone Disney Plus reboot? Or do you still not care? Do you not care about this movie at all? And who do you think could actually play the Wet Bandits? That's, I think, going to be a very interesting casting choice. Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Now we move on here to our second Did You Hear? Guys, did you hear that they announced the nominees for the Screen Actors Guild? Now, also this week, they announced the nominees for the Golden Globes, which I'll be talking a little bit later in the show about some controversy surrounding those nominations. However, we're just talking about the Screen Actors Guild and not the actual Golden Globe nominations for a couple of reasons. One, I don't really count the Golden Globes for being an actual worthy show. I enjoy watching the Golden Globes because everyone gets drunk and it's fun to watch. They put on a good show. But when it comes to the weight of the nominations and the winners and all that, it doesn't have anything. Because the Hollywood Foreign Press, Associated Foreign Press, who vote for the Golden Globes, they're made up of about 80 members. Whereas the Academy, that votes on the Academy Awards, the Oscars, are about 7,000 to 8,000. So 80 versus 8,000. 80 is very easy to manipulate. 80 is very easy to skew the numbers. And famously, I remember several years ago when that Angelina Jolie film Salt was coming out, the members of the Hollywood Foreign Press nominated Salt for Best Picture just because they wanted Angelina Jolie at their party. So that kind of, the integrity or the weight of the actual awards and the nominations, that all goes out the window for Golden Globes. But for SAGs, it's completely different because this is the Screen Actors Guild nominating and voting on this. And these are the same people who will be nominating and voting for the Academy. because a lot of the Screen Actors Guild are in the Academy, and it's the actors who are voting for the Academy. So these nominations are very key in us getting our understanding of where the Academy Awards may end up going. Who will be nominated for Academy Awards? So I want to take a look real quick at the SAG nominations. Now, SAG also includes television and a bunch of other things. We're just focusing on leading and supporting actors, and we're not going to do the ensemble, which is their version of Best Picture, Best Ensemble, because that award isn't in the Oscars. So I'm really looking at these awards and how they might shape up for the actual Academy Awards race. So let's start things off with the leading actors. So for male lead actor, we have Christian Bale for Ford v Ferrari, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Taron Egerton for Rocketman, and Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. I'm going to talk about this real quick because there's a few things I want to say about this. There's one big surprise, but not too many huge surprises. Christian Bale, I think we're all expecting. It was either going to be him or Matt Damon for Ford v Ferrari. Christian Bale just makes sense. He was great in the movie. I have no problems with that. Leonardo DiCaprio, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Leo was great. I wouldn't personally pick him as one of the top 5 best performances of the year for a male lead actor, but I don't have any real gripes with him being in the film. I just like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a lot less than a lot of other people, but that's just me. Adam Driver for Marriage Story, fantastic. I am so glad that Taron Egerton is nominated for Rocketman because I thought he was going to be overlooked. And when I saw Rocketman, which is still, I think, in my top 3 of the year, when I saw Rocketman, I said 2 things. I'll switch it back to me. I said 2 things about Taron Egerton's performance. One, I said, watching Taron Egerton in Rocketman makes it utterly laughable that, why am I blanking on his name? Freddie Mercury and who played Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody? Why am I blanking on his name? This is horrible. Oh, I'm completely blanking on his name. Whatever. That actor from Mr. Robot. The fact that he won, and I'm doing him a terrible disservice by not remembering his name. The fact that he won Best Lead Actor last year for that role, he was good in that movie. He was really good. He was really solid. He really was. But he didn't even sing all of his Sultan songs. And to watch Rocketman, where Taron Egerton, I'm sorry, he acted. In scenes where it was actual just pure acting, Taron Egerton acted better than him. And when he sang his own songs, he did his own dances. There's just so much that Taron Egerton did that Mr. Robot didn't do, and I feel so bad that I don't remember his name. Rami Malek. That Rami Malek didn't do in Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it makes it utterly laughable in comparison that Rami Malek won. It should have been Bradley Cooper. It should have been Bradley Cooper or Viggo Mortensen. Anyways, that's a discussion for another time. But the second thing that I said when I came out of Rocketman is that if there are 5 performances better than Taron Egerton's performance in Rocketman, meaning that he would not be nominated for an Oscar, then we are in for one hell of a year. And so I am just happy. Let's bring this back. I am just happy to see Taron Egerton on this list because I thought they were going to overlook him. I thought he was going to get shut out because this movie came out back in May and nobody was really talking about it. But he's there, and I am absolutely hopeful that the fact that Taron Egerton is nominated for a SAG award, that shoots his chances of getting the Oscar nom way up there. If you were to ask me about a week ago, hey, what do you think the chances are that Taron Egerton is going to get nominated for Rocketman for Best Lead Actor? I would have said, yeah, there's really no chance at this point. But he got a SAG nomination. So that gives hope. So I am through the roof excited that he got that because I'm really hoping he gets that Oscar nomination because I think he gives one of the 5 best performances of the year. Maybe even one of the best 3 performances of the year. I thought he was so good in Rocketman. He definitely deserves an Oscar nomination, in my opinion, and I'm glad to see he got the SAG nominee. And then we have Joaquin Phoenix in there for Joker, which I'm glad to see that happening. So we're very early from the Oscar nominations. We have to wait for the Oscar nominations to come out to see all the movies. I'm thinking Joaquin might take home the Oscar. I think he might be his year, and I'm very excited. So anyways, so it's Bale, DiCaprio, Driver, Egerton, Phoenix. Let's look at female lead actor. And this is also a very interesting list, because there's a couple who slipped in here who I was not expecting. You have Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, which she was great in that movie. You have Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, fantastic. Lupita Nyong'o for Us. I didn't think she was going to get in there. I didn't think it was actually going to happen. Lupita Nyong'o was fantastic in Us, but in all the awards discussion, we have not been hearing her name. We have not been hearing Lupita Nyong'o's name, but she was... Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the movie Us, but she was fantastic in that movie, so I'm actually very happy to see her in there. We have Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger for Judy. So to recap that real quick, Erivo, Johansson, Nyong'o, Theron, Zellweger. Very good list. Like I said, I was very happy to see Lupita Nyong'o in there. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't sure if Erivo was going to get in there, because I think there have been a couple of nomination lists where Cynthia Erivo didn't get in there. Very happy to see Scarlett Johansson get nominated, because she was fantastic in Marriage Story. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Johansson in just a second, because now we're going to move on to the supporting actor race, which I think is also a very interesting race. So for male supporting actor, we have Jamie Foxx for Just Mercy, Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci for The Irishman, and Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was going to say Once Upon a Time in the Neighborhood. Very different movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. No real surprises here. I was a little bit surprised to see Jamie Foxx, just because I haven't really been hearing his name at all in the awards discussion. But I'm glad to see him in there. Everyone else really deserves it. But speaking of The Irishman, one of the biggest things that people were saying when the SAG nominees for Best Lead Actor came out was that Robert De Niro was not included in there. And I know a lot of people were just absolutely shocked and were saying he deserved the nomination and that he was snubbed. I'll say this. I really like The Irishman a lot. May not quite be in my top 10, but it'll probably, if it is, it'll be like number 9 or 10 or in my honorable mentions of the year. Robert De Niro is excellent in that movie. And Robert De Niro is great in every movie. I don't know if I would say he's one of the top 5 best of the year. Like, if we're going back, let's go back real quick to this. I mean, I wouldn't say he was better than Adam Driver in Marriage Story. I wouldn't say he was better than Taron Egerton in Rocket Man. I wouldn't say he was better than Joaquin Phoenix in Joker. Him and DiCaprio, like, DiCaprio is really good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. De Niro is also great in that. So they're kind of on the same level. I might give De Niro the edge over Christian Bale, but a lot of people are firm that Christian Bale is going to be one of the top spots. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But, yeah. So I know a lot of people are shocked. And honestly, I was surprised that De Niro didn't get the spot. Excuse me. I was surprised he didn't get the spot. I don't know if he necessarily deserves it over the other people nominated, though. That's just my personal opinion. But so to round out the supporting actor, not too many surprises. Like I said, I was a little bit surprised to see Jamie Foxx just because I haven't heard his name in there as much as some of the other ones, but no huge surprises here. We have Jamie Foxx, Tom Hanks, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Brad Pitt. Now we have, for female supporting actor, we have Laura Dern for Marriage Story. She was great. Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit. She got it. I'm excited. I'm so happy. Because I said, well, after I saw Jojo Rabbit, I said that Scarlett Johansson gave the best performance of that movie and she was fantastic. And after I saw Marriage Story, I immediately tweeted, Scarlett Johansson in 1 year, this year, gave 2 of the best performances of her career. In Marriage Story and in Jojo Rabbit. She was phenomenal in both. She gave the 2 performances of her career in 1 year. And I was afraid that they might be like, she's great in Marriage Story, she's great in Jojo Rabbit. We'll just give her Marriage Story and forget Jojo Rabbit. No, they gave it to her for both. Because frankly, I think she deserves it for both. I think she's one of the top 5 best female lead actors performances of this year. And I thought she gave one of the top 5 best female supporting actor performances of this year. So I think she deserved both nominations. I'm just glad that they gave her both nominations. We also have Nicole Kidman for Bombshell, Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers, which I'm surprised. Well, I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I'm happy that Jennifer Lopez got it, because I remember when Hustlers came out back in September, a lot of people were talking about her getting a nomination. But then a lot of those talks kind of went out the window for a little bit, so I'm glad she got back in there. And Margot Robbie for Bombshell. So overall, these nominations I think are very, very, very solid. And I think it gives us a great window into what the Academy Award nominees will be. Now, it's not going to be exactly what these are. It's not going to be these exact same 20 nominations. It won't be. Maybe Taron Egerton doesn't get the nomination. Maybe De Niro does get the nomination. You know, there's a bunch of different things that can be interworked and changed a little bit. But I think that the SAG nominees give us a really good idea of where the actors, and the same actors who voted on these are the same ones voting for the Academy Awards. So it gives us a very good insight into where they're thinking, where they're heading, where they're going. And I am very excited for Oscar season. Question is, guys, what do you think? Do these nominations for both lead actor and supporting actor for both male and female, do you think that these really give us a good insight into where the Academy Awards are going? Were there any big surprises? Any big shocks? Are you surprised De Niro was left out, or that Egerton got in, or that Lupita Nyong'o got her nomination? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And we're moving on here to our last Did You Hear topic. Guys, did you hear that Warner Brothers has put out a bunch of new release dates for films in 2021 and 2022? I'm really excited with some of these release dates. Let's take a look at these real quick. So Mortal Kombat got moved up a few weeks to January 15th, 2021. It's not really a movie that I care too much about, but, you know, it's a big movie for them. I think it's a key sign that it's in January. I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to this Mortal Kombat movie at all. Oh, but it's rated R. Oh, cool. Great. How many R-rated movies have we gotten that are terrible? You know, I've never really played Mortal Kombat, and I watched the original Mortal Kombat movie, and it's just cheesy as all hell, you know. I know a lot of people enjoy that movie for what it is, but it's so cheesy. I don't know. I just have no interest. Maybe trailers will come out and I'll get interested, but right now, I don't really care about Mortal Kombat, and I think the January 15th release date, the fact that it's coming out in January, I think that's a pretty telling sign, to be completely honest. Matrix 4, coming out May 21st, 2021. Now, interesting note, that is the same release date as John Wick Chapter 4. Now, first of all, I think May is an interesting release date for The Matrix. The first Matrix movie, when it came out in 1999, came out in March, which was also an interesting release date. I think it kind of speaks to a May release date, kind of speaks to what kind of movie it's going to be. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be more of like a tentpole movie of the year, franchise film, which will be interesting. I'm very excited for this Matrix movie. As a lot of you know, The Matrix is my all-time favorite movie. I am so excited for a Matrix 4. If I had my choice, the Wachowskis wouldn't be doing this one. It's only one of the Wachowski siblings. I think it's Lana Wachowski who's doing it, but I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. Just because the Wachowskis haven't had the greatest track record for the past few films, but I think it will be interesting because this should be the first film that is only made by one Wachowski sister as opposed to the two of them. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes from there. And I just think there's so much you can do with a Matrix 4 that I'm excited for it. It's coming out the same day as John Wick Chapter 4. Now, one of them is going to move. It'll probably be John Wick. John Wick is probably going to move to another date. But part of me really wants them both to come out on the same day. Because, you know, I'm trying to think. Because we've had these cases before where we have had two giant movies opening on the same day. Remember, for a period of time, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Captain America Civil War were coming out on the same day. And in a case like that where you have two giant comic book movies, they're going to eat each other alive at the box office, and neither would have been successful. Neither would have made as much as they did if they both came out on the same day. However, with a John Wick Chapter 4 and a Matrix 4, are you going for the same demographic? Yes. However, both are established franchise. They're both established franchises. And because they both have Keanu Reeves, I really think that if they were to come out on the same weekend, they could bolster each other. Because you might be getting people who are interested in John Wick Chapter 4 going, oh, Matrix 4 with Keanu Reeves is also coming out? Yeah, I might have to check that out too. You might have people who are excited and going to Matrix 4 who haven't necessarily seen the John Wick movies go, oh, I've been meaning to get on that John Wick series and the fourth one's coming out the same day. Maybe I gotta go check that out. I don't know. Maybe they would eat each other alive at the box office and it would be terrible disaster for both of them. Maybe they could bolster each other and they could both do really well. It's an interesting idea, but I don't think it's going to come to it. I think one of them is going to move and it'll probably be John Wick. But we'll have to wait and see on that. So anyways, that's the date for Matrix 4. Shazam 2 officially announced and it's coming April 1st, 2022. Now, the Black Adam movie is coming December of 2021, and now we have Shazam 2 coming out in 2022. I am very excited. I loved Shazam. I thought it was great fun. There were a couple parts that were a little cheesy. There were a couple parts I could have done without. A couple of weak elements, but for the most part, I just loved hanging out with these characters, and I'm excited for more. Is Shazam 2 going to tie in directly with Black Adam? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm glad that they're officially doing another one, especially because Shazam didn't blow up the box office. I think it made like $400 million or something. Now, granted, it was a smaller budget film to make, so it's not like they lost money or anything like that. But it wasn't a hugely profitable franchise film for them. Especially when on either side of it, Aquaman made $1 billion and Joker made $1 billion, and then you got Shazam in the middle. But, I'm glad that they're doing a sequel, because I think it definitely warrants a sequel. And then we have The Flash on its 4th or 5th release date, along with its 4th or 5th director, coming out July 1st, 2022. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know if this Flash movie is going to happen. I really don't. They have... Remember, Flash was supposed to come out in 2018. 2018 was, I think, the first release date for The Flash. And someone pointed it out online. Someone made a meme of it. I thought it was a great meme. But it was... regardless of what the meme itself was, pointing out the fact, Aquaman, so Flash was supposed to come out in 2018. Aquaman comes out in 2018. Now, Aquaman 2, I believe is going to come out before The Flash is now supposed to come out. Aquaman 2, when the first Aquaman movie was released the same year that The Flash was supposed to come out, Aquaman 2 will be released before The Flash is now supposed to come out. That's just crazy. I don't know. This Flash movie, I don't really care anymore. I don't. I don't think Ezra Miller is really involved anymore. I don't think they know what they're doing. I think they're just holding on to the idea of we need to do Flash, and it's just spiraling out of control. But I don't think they're keeping this date. So I really don't care. But looking at these, Mortal Kombat, January 15th, 2021. Personally, I don't care about, but I know there are people excited. Matrix 4, May 21st, 2021. Same day as John Wick. I don't think they're both staying on the same day, but I'm very excited for Matrix 4. Shazam 2, April 1st, 2022. Can't wait for that one. The Flash, July 1st, 2022. I don't think that's happening. Question is, what do you guys think? Do those dates surprise you at all? Do you think they're going to stay? Do you think any of them are going to move? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And now we move on to a segment we do here on the Movie Paradise Show called Trailer Talk. And how Trailer Talk works is that a bunch of trailers drop every single week, and I try to take a couple of them and talk about them here on the show and give you my thoughts on them. And the first one that we're going to talk about is for Wonder Woman 1984. I was a big fan of the original Wonder Woman that came out in 2017. I thought it was great. And at that point, I was not a huge fan of the DC EU movies. I really like Man of Steel a lot. Batman v Superman was disappointing. Suicide Squad was a horrible, horrendous abomination. So we get to Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman, well, first of all, I really like the film myself, but Wonder Woman was the first DC EU movie to get all the critics to give it a fresh review, for the audiences to give it a fresh review, and for it to do really well at the box office. It was a great movie. Gal Gadot was great in the film. And I had my questions about whether she was that good of an actor, to be honest, from stuff I'd seen. But I thought she really led that movie, and she did a great job in Wonder Woman. I thought the shining part of Wonder Woman was Patty Jenkins's direction. The writing was good. There were some issues with the third act, and the villain got a little bit too much. But I've always been excited for the sequel, and this trailer was great. I'm so excited because Wonder Woman 1 was very much a period piece. It was set in World War I, and it was separated from the rest of the world, from the rest of the DCU. It was its own thing. But now we get into Wonder Woman 2, and it is still a period piece, but now it's a lot more modern. And I just loved the feel of it. It felt like now that we have the origin story done, now they can go all out. And I loved all the shots of the fights going on in the White House. That looked cool. Just the sleek nature, the colors, the feel, the music. I think Pedro Pascal looks great as Maxwell Lord. We get a couple of quick shots of Kristen Wiig. I think she's going to be cool. Steve Trevor is back, so I'm not thrilled that they're bringing back Steve Trevor and Chris Pine. I'm not a fan of fake deaths. Marvel overdoes it a lot. DC doesn't do it as much. So they kind of get the benefit of the doubt. But it's one of those things, like with any of the fake deaths. I don't like the concept and the idea of fake death, but I'm going to wait and see how they use it in the film. Because there may be a way that they use it in Wonder Woman 1984 where it works and it's great and it's really fun. But just in principle, I don't like this idea of, it's if you kill a character, stay dead. You can have new characters. We don't need Chris Pine back in this movie. Steve Trevor doesn't need to be back in the movie. You could have used any number of new characters, other characters, to fill whatever role you want him to fill. But again, like I said, it depends upon the movie, because maybe we'll see the film and we'll realize there was no way for them to do this movie without him. So I'll wait to reserve full judgment and further judgment until I see the actual movie and how it's used. But on the surface, I don't like that he's being brought back. But we'll have to wait and see how it's used. Otherwise, the music was great. The action looked phenomenal. I think Gal Gadot looks great in it. It just feels like Patty Jenkins did the origin story, did the setup work, got that done. We've had our Wonder Woman war movie. And now it's time for the full-on, this is exactly what they want to do with the character. And I can't wait. I think it looks great. I was a big fan of this trailer. Wonder Woman 1984, when I did my ranking of my anticipation for the 2020 comic book movies, which is up on the channel if you want to go check it out. When I made that video, I said Wonder Woman 84 was my most anticipated comic book movie of next year. After seeing this trailer, I still stand by that. Question is, what do you guys think? Did you like the trailer for Wonder Woman 1984? Are you excited for it the same way I am? Did it not really appeal to you? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And now we move on to our second trailer talk. And our second trailer talk is for the Jason Reitman directed Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, they did the Ghostbusters reboot with Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones in 2016. And most people hated that movie. I didn't hate it. It was fine. You know, it had a couple of good moments. I always said I would never want to rewatch that movie, but I would be up for them doing a sequel to it because I liked a lot of those characters, except I did not like Kate McKinnon in that movie. But all the other characters I did enjoy. But so we had that movie, and then they announced Jason Reitman, who is a phenomenal director. The guy who did Up in the Air, which is probably in my top 30, 40 all-time favorite movies. I love that movie so much. He did Thank You for Smoking. He did Juno. He did The Front Runner last year. Yeah, I think that was last year with Hugh Jackman. He's done a bunch of great movies. I love Jason Reitman. I think he's a phenomenal director. He's also the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the original Ghostbusters film. So then they announced that Jason Reitman would be doing a Ghostbusters 3, a direct sequel to the second one in continuity with the other ones. And I was excited because it was Jason Reitman, but I didn't have I wasn't going nuts or crazy over this movie. I was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I love Jason Reitman and I want to see what he does next. Then they put out this trailer. I loved this trailer. I loved it so much. I'm not even the world's hugest, is that even a word? I'm not even the world's biggest Ghostbusters fan. I enjoy Ghostbusters. I think it's a fun property filled with nostalgia. I like it. I enjoy it a lot. I wouldn't say I'm a Ghostbusters fan the same way I'm a Marvel fan or Star Wars fan or Lord of the Rings or anything like that. But this trailer, it was... Watching this trailer, it made me think this is the exact way that you do a sequel to Ghostbusters. It was the exact way. It was perfect. Because there was no ghost sightings for 30 years. They're uncovering the secrets of the past. And I loved, like, Paul Rudd's saying to the kids, oh, you didn't know about this? You didn't know that this was going on? They're showing all the footage. They're like, yeah, this is what it was like in the 80s. You know, it was really cool. And it had a cool feeling. It felt tonally, it felt very different from the original Ghostbusters film. And I loved that. It still had the comedy. It still had the goofiness. It's still going to have the sci-fi spectacle, but it was a little more somber. It was a little more reflective. It felt like these characters have aged. Things have changed. Things have grown. And that feeling of feeling the time that has passed, because this movie does take place like 30 years later. Feeling that time pass, I thought was great. It was just a great trailer, and I think this is the story that they should have told. I had some parts of the 2016 Ghostbusters film that I liked, but watching this trailer, now granted, maybe the movie sucks, maybe the movie's a horrible direction, this was just a great trailer, but on the surface from this trailer, this is the movie that they should have made from the beginning. This feels like the quintessential Ghostbusters sequel. Because it feels like this is the exact direction they should have been taking it from the beginning. This feels like the perfect way to do it. I never would have put Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is a great title, by the way. I never would have put this film in a top most anticipated 2020. I might have to now. Maybe on the lower side. But that might have to sneak into my most anticipated 2020. I really dug this trailer a lot. And anything with Paul Rudd at this point, I'm going to love. So, question is, what do you guys think? Did you like the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife as much as I did? Do you agree with me that you think this was the right direction for them to go in as a sequel? Or did it not really work for you? Do you think they should have gone in a different direction? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And now we're going to move on to our main topic here on the Movie Paradise Show. And with our main topic, I like to take something going on in the world of movie news that's a little more of a discussion piece, more so than just like a piece of movie news or a trailer or a movie review, and really kind of go in deeper and analyze a topic in the world of movie discussion. And this was something that comes up a lot every single award season. And that is the issue of movie awards and award shows not necessarily nominating diverse nominees. Whether they be those who are not male, whether those be pretty much anybody who's not a cisgender, white, straight man. Let's back up a little bit. Where this all comes from is that, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, when the Golden Globes were announced, the nominees, and again, the nominations don't mean anything. It's 80 people voting on for those nominations. It can be so easily swayed. That's how Salt got in, just to get Angelina Jolie at the party. So the nominations don't mean anything themselves. I mean, it's always fun to be nominated for things. I'm not taking away from that. I'm sure there are people who understand that the nomination itself holds no weight, especially in comparison to getting an Oscar nomination, but still recognition for your work, and that's fun in of itself. But when the nominations were announced, again, this year, as it has been in previous years, there were no female directors nominated this year. It was all male directors. I should have had the list ready to go of the directors who were nominated, but it was Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for Joker. I can't remember the other two, I apologize. Was it Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story? I don't remember. That beside the point. So the Golden Globes nominated their directors, and none of them were women. They were all male. And so people were going online and talking about and calling out the Golden Globes for not nominating any women directors. And this is a conversation in one form or another that we tend to have every year as award shows come out. We had a long period of time where we had the Oscars So White controversy. By the way, I don't like using the word controversy because I feel like it kind of is a word that we use and people tune out, and it's overused a lot, and kind of controversy can sort of demean what's actually going on. But that's a separate conversation. We had the whole Oscars So White thing where for multiple years in a row at the Academy Awards, all the male leading, female leading, male supporting, female supporting, those 4 categories, all 20 nominees were all white. All white. And that led a lot of people to start saying, hey, Oscars, Academy, why aren't you nominating people of color? Why is this not happening? And I was at the time I was writing for the movie Paradise. I wasn't doing YouTube stuff yet. But I wrote an editorial, and I may or may not post it on my social media for movie Paradise to kind of go along with this video. If I don't, you can go online and you can find it. You could just search movieparadise.com, Oscars So White, or something like that. You can find it. Essentially, the case that I made was that the issue isn't so much that the awards or the award shows or anything like that are purposely not nominating people of color for these awards. Because when you looked at, for most of those years where you had all 20 all-white nominees, it wasn't that there was a person of color who deserved to be in that top 5, who was like by and far clearly it wasn't that there were 5 all-white nominees and there was this person of color who gave clearly by far one of the best performances of the year, and that it was utterly laughable and obvious and clear that they should have been in there, and some of the other ones were just in there just because they weren't in there. You know, because I always say in general, not even related to this Oscars So White or the female director conversation, outside of that whole thing, when people start talking about snubs, like even talking about what we were talking about with De Niro and lead actor, when you're talking about someone being snubbed from an Oscar nomination or any nomination, you can't just say, oh, this person should have been nominated. You have to say who that person should have been nominated instead of. Like when I talk about Reign Over Me and Adam Sandler's performance in that film, I say he should have been nominated for Best Lead Actor. But I don't just say, oh, Adam Sandler was snubbed from an Oscar, he should have been nominated. No. I say Adam Sandler was so good that I think he should have been nominated in place of Will Smith for The Pursuit of Happiness. Because Will Smith is great in Pursuit of Happiness. I personally thought Adam Sandler in Reign Over Me gave a better performance, and he should have been in there over Will Smith. So when we're talking about all white nominees, it's not just that, hey, why aren't there people of color in there? It's which person of color gave a performance that was so by and far better than the ones nominated that they should have been in there. And while I think there was one year, I think one of the years that we had the Oscars So White was the same year that David Oyelowo gave his performance in Selma. And I thought he should have been nominated. And I don't know the nominees off the top of my head, but I could go and find the actor who I think he should have been nominated over. But there were a couple other years where we had this conversation, and I would say, guys, it's not that the awards aren't not nominating people of color who deserve to be nominated. Frankly, I think all the people who were nominated were the right people to be nominated. That those were the best 20 performances in their respective categories of the year. So the issue isn't the awards. The issue is that Hollywood is not making enough stories made by, about, and brought to life by people of color. Historically, we have seen in Hollywood that Hollywood favors the stories and the filmmakers and the performers who are straight, cisgender, white men. We've seen that for decades and decades and decades in Hollywood. Hollywood was founded, frankly, Hollywood was founded on white nationalism because the movie that started it all, the movie that defined the feature film, the first real feature film, because beforehand, films were mostly shorts. They had completely different, they were simple stories played out over just a few minutes. The first real feature film was The Birth of a Nation, which single-handedly revitalized the Ku Klux Klan. Hollywood was founded by white nationalism. Now, that does not mean that Hollywood is defined by that. Not in any stretch of imagination. But it would be ignorant of us to ignore the fact that Hollywood began through white nationalism. Born in a time in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, where anybody who wasn't cisgender, straight, white man, anyone who wasn't that, didn't have a voice, didn't have an opportunity. And so from the dawn of Hollywood, from the dawn of Hollywood filmmaking, those are the stories that were told. And over the last several decades, we have had in Hollywood a gradual shift away from that. More people have been brought in who do not fit that one specific archetype, who are able to tell their stories. We've had people of color come in and be able to make their movies and tell their stories and get away from this one specific type of filmmaking and filmmakers and film stars. And Hollywood has seen over the last several decades a gradual shift. Are we at the point now where we should be? Where we have full equality? Where we have full balance in the types of stories who are being told, in the opportunities for people to tell their stories? No, we're not there yet. We're getting there. We're getting closer. And we have made progress, but we are not there yet. So the issue isn't that the awards are not recognizing people of color or recognizing women directors. That in of itself is not the issue. That's not the issue. Because the awards are just a referendum on that year of film. They're just picking the best people of that year. The issue is that Hollywood needs to make more stories with people of color. The issue is that Hollywood needs to hire more women directors. More directors who are not men. More directors who are not straight cisgender white men. That's the issue. Hollywood needs to be telling more of these stories. Hollywood needs to be hiring more of these people who do not fit that archetype. And once Hollywood, and granted, like I said, we're getting there. We're making progress. We're getting better. But once Hollywood gets further along in that development, it will reflect itself in the awards. When I look at the best directors of this year, it makes sense to me that the top 5 are all male. Because if now granted, I would not have nominated Quentin Tarantino for Best Director. But when I start going through and thinking, who are the people that I would nominate for Best Director? It would probably end up being another male nominee that I would put in there instead of the other ones. And that's not to say that I hate women or anything like that. That's not to say that women directors are inferior to male directors or anything like that. And it's not to say that women directors didn't make great movies this year. Olivia Wilde directed Booksmart this year. That is probably my top 5 favorite movies of the year. And if it doesn't end up in my top 5, it's without a doubt in my top 10. It might just barely be edged out and put in number 6 or something. I thought Booksmart was fantastic. But also when you're talking about something like that, which I think Olivia Wilde, if we're talking about... Now, I haven't seen Little Women, but Greta Gerwig is a strong contender for that. I am not remembering her name, and I completely apologize, but the director of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, these are some, the director of Queen and Slim, these are some of the directors that people are saying, why aren't they being included in the conversation? So, I haven't seen Little Women, so I can't say whether I think Greta Gerwig is one of the top 5 best directors of the year, so I'll put that one aside. I have seen I was going to call it Once Upon a Time in the Neighborhood. I have seen A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Great movie. I enjoyed it a lot. Not in my top 10 of the year. I don't think she was one of the top 5 best directors of the year. I have not... excuse me. I have not seen Queen and Slim. She's a first-time director. And I think in most cases, and this also applies to Olivia Wilde, in most cases, first-time directors don't get into the top 5 best of the year. Even, excuse me, even Bradley Cooper last year, first-time director, directed my favorite movie of last year, A Star is Born. He wasn't included in the best directors list. He was not one of the 5. And when you're looking at Olivia Wilde, who directed Booksmart, which is a great comedy, and she did a great job, and she got great performances, but she's a first-time director, compared to Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese, who are some of the most established directors in Hollywood today, I understand why she wasn't in there. So, I say all this to say, the issue isn't that award shows or movie awards, that the Academy, that the Golden Globes, that the Hollywood Foreign Press, that the Screen Actors Guild are purposely shutting out diverse nominees. It's not that they have agendas to say, we cannot have a woman director be nominated, we have to nominate all male directors. They're not saying, we have to make sure that all 20 of the nominees are white, we can't have a person of color. That's not it. There's not an agenda, there's definitely individual biases, and biases that go into people's decision making when they're voting. That is without a doubt the case. But I think the movie award shows have become scapegoats for people to air their frustrations and blame the awards, which are just a referendum on the year, when we should be pointing the finger at Hollywood itself. At the casting agencies, who bring in for a role only white people, when they could include some people of color in there. For the producers, who, when they come out with their short lists of all their directors, that they're all male, that they're all white men, when they could probably include a few women in there too, or a few people of color. That's the issue. There is a huge amount of segregation still in Hollywood. And like I said, Hollywood was founded on white nationalism. Hollywood was founded on an exclusive, cisgender, straight, white male club. And it's held that for decades, and it's taken decades to slowly but surely dismember that and break it apart and dissolve it. We're better than we were, but we're not there yet. And I think instead of putting the pressure on the awards shows, we need to put the pressure on Hollywood. Anyways, that's all my thoughts on this. The question is, what do you guys think? Do you agree with everything that I'm saying about the fact that we shouldn't be blaming the movie awards for this? Unless, of course, the movie awards very clearly should be nominating an actor who's a person of color or a director who's a woman. Should be nominating them when they're so clearly better, by far above any of the other nominees, and they weren't included. Except for those cases which we have not really had. And again, I would make the argument for David Oyelowo when that would have been the 2014 Academy Awards. I would make a case for that. But aside from those instances, the awards are not to blame. It's Hollywood, so we should be keeping on there. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. So now we're going to look over at the live chat real quick to see if we have any questions. And we don't currently have any questions with us. So that's going to do it for this installment of the Movie Paradise Show. Once again, I'm your host, Nathanael Molnár. Thank you guys for joining us and joining me for this episode. I've enjoyed doing it on a Friday. Maybe I'll do some more Friday ones, but I'm going to try to keep it Saturdays because that's mainly what I advertise. Next week, we'll be doing our show in person. For the next several months, Rob and I are going to be doing the show mostly every week in person, so that's going to be good, and that'll be fun. Next week, we're going to get to talk about Star Wars. Next Friday, I'm seeing Star Wars, so Saturday on the show, we'll talk all about Star Wars, and we'll also probably do a spoiler discussion at some point, so that's going to be fun. So you're going to want to tune in next Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on YouTube, for us talking about a whole bunch of things in the world of movies, but most specifically, we're going to talk about some Star Wars. So anyways, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe for more content. Be sure to follow us on all of our various social medias at Movie Paradise 99. You can check out all the segments and clips of this episode up on the YouTube channel, and be sure to tune in next Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next installment of the Movie Paradise Show. And until that next installment, thanks for watching.